first kind of thing I really noticed was this kind of fiery temper, this rage that came quickly.
I would vomit for 2 hours on the first day of my period.
It felt like an out-of-body experience, like I was sort of in the world living, but I wasn't connected with it. It was a real disconnect.
Lots of women feel sometimes unheard by their doctor. I'll have women coming up to me saying that they feel they're being fobbed off.
My periods got heavier, and I wasn't expecting that because what little I knew about menopause was that they got lighter and further apart.
I knew that I was around the age when it perhaps would be, but I wasn't quite sure what it was.
She became very angry and a bit upset that no one had put two and two together.
I've always been quite open. I mean, if you ask my husband, he'd probably roll his eyes and say all the time.
Talking is something that I do all the time, and I think it's really unusual for me not to talk about menopause when I'm with friends and family, almost to the point I think I bore them to death. But yes, I talk about menopause quite openly, quite freely, with my friends, with my sisters, with my mum. And one thing that I realised is I have a group of girls, and one of them said to me not so long ago that she doesn't have these type of conversations with her other girlfriends. And I just found that really quite bizarre, because I thought everyone spoke about, women's health issues freely, when they're with their friends.
And I guess, yes, with friends, but kind of in passing, more than, deep conversations about menopause, kind of like saying, oh, this thing's happened to me. But yeah, in terms of girlfriends, just more so as in commenting, oh God, this has happened, and then moving on, rather than having long conversations about it.
I mean, I do have best girlfriends, and it's funny because I'm always the one that everyone comes to talk, and I'm very good at helping other people. So it felt a bit odd for me to, I guess, again, I didn't want to complain, because I didn't want my friends to think, I don't know what she's complaining about, her life is great.
I talked a lot about it because by that time I'd started specialising in that particular area. And so for me, because I talk about it every day in my work, I feel no sense of embarrassment, which I know is quite common for women. For a lot of women, it's a very private thing. They may not want to talk about it. So I sort of opened the floodgates, if you like, amongst sort of friends and family by being so open about it and so matter of fact about it, that I think it allowed them to do so as well, which I think is a really good thing. How long have you got?
If it was one piece of advice, I'd say take time to lean in and just notice what it is that's going on in your body. Notice what it is your body is telling you that she needs. Because if you listen closely, you tend to know, you tend to feel it, you tend to understand.
The advice I would give to women going through the menopause has to be nutritional advice, because that's the heart of it for me. So it's really about getting your diet right, eating the right kinds of things, getting plenty of protein with every meal and snack. That's going to help with the brain fog no end. Eating loads of really good leafy green vegetables, because they're packed with magnesium, which will calm your nervous system, regulate your body's response to stress, and steering clear of those things that are known triggers for menopausal symptoms, like too much sugar, too much caffeine, and too much alcohol. These small changes can make a huge difference to the way you experience the menopause.
My one piece of advice is don't struggle in silence for 1 minute, because you're not alone. There's our community to connect with, but there's lots of people talking about it. If you're on social media, great. If you're not, yes, I've written a book, but there's loads of menopause doctors and menopause specialists, menopause nutritionists and menopause fitness gurus, we're all talking about it now. And so there's plenty of resources out there. So don't struggle and don't be dismissed by your doctor. And I'm not doctor bashing. GPs are wonderful. And you only, in the UK, you only have a 10-minute appointment on the NHS. So go prepared.
So I'd probably give two pieces of advice. So the first is talk. Okay, talk to anyone that's willing to listen. But on a serious note, talk to anyone that you feel comfortable talking to. And that can be your friends, it can be your colleagues, it can be a family member. But the more you talk, the more you share, the more you realise you're not alone. Lots of women feel very isolated during this journey. The second piece of advice is don't compare your journey. Everyone will have their own unique experience. Some may sail through it, and others may be quite debilitated by it. So the key thing is everyone will have a unique journey, and no two journeys will be the same.
I'm glad you asked that, because we need men to be our allies, because and young boys, I've got 3 boys and a daughter. My boys know far too much about the subject.
It's difficult for partners and families because they're watching on and they're not quite sure what's going on. Some of the time they might feel as if they're constantly in the wrong, and that's a hard place to be. But I think the first thing to think about is understanding what's going on with menopause. Perhaps do a little bit of reading, look online, listen to some good podcasts about what it actually means, and then just provide a listening ear, because I think if you understand what's going on and you're quietly supportive, that can make things so much easier.
So I think the key thing is talk to your partner or talk to whoever it is that's going through menopause. Ask them how they're feeling. Ask them how can you support them. If there's anything that they're struggling with, try and see if you can kind of share responsibilities, share that job. And it might be something as simple as if your partner is struggling with kind of insomnia, and on the weekends you've got like the kids' activities, maybe take it in turns, or maybe take over the kids' activities and let your partner kind of have that extra hour or two in bed.
I would say listen. Ask if you're not hearing. Listen if someone's trying to communicate with you, and understand that sometimes the person it's happening to doesn't really know. They don't know why this is happening or that's happening, or why they feel like crying one minute and screaming the next and not talking. And just take a little bit of time, listen if messages are being shared, or do some research. So many people are talking about this in the workplace now, that if you have a job, you're very likely to hear something at work. Go and listen to that training, that awareness raising. And just take time to kind of perhaps open the conversation.
If I could change one thing in society for women,
Normalise it. This is a normal period that women will go through.
Invest a lot more in women's research, women's health research.
we are often just not seen and not heard.
And I still hear people say, but why do we need a whole month? Why do we need a day? And it's because there isn't enough awareness. And because you're asking that question, that's why.